This meeting is called to order. We have one set of minutes here to look at.
Have you looked at them?
I have,
Look good?
they look fine.
Me too.
Okay, we will accept them as presented. And move on to
You wanna sign that?
legislative. Yeah, if you want to sign it, go ahead. Move on to legislative request.
So that will be this resolution. And then if you'll see the ACA 7-5-617, that would be the changes that would actually be required to be made into the law.
Okay.
The only change that I have made to this resolution, from what I've seen previously, Max had requested this line right before therefore, where it says that whereas this requirement in Act 329 is not necessary to conduct a safe and secure election. So I thought that made it stronger.
Yeah.
So, but that would be the resolution, for the commission to sign if you approve it.
Okay,
So you didn't change, any language? Did you change language here, regarding the, what all we changed?
Okay. So the resolution remains the same from what I've sent, with the exception of that one line.
Right,
In the law change, which this is what would have to be changed in order to remove, I have includes a recorded numbered seal, which is what we had discussed.
oh, right.
So that way, because the language that had been previously in this was a secure manner, but it doesn't specify what the secure manner would be. So by including, the language that says a recorded number seal, then that's going to set up the procedure for that. They record the seal when they place it in there. When it is returned to the check-in place, that seal number is compared to the seal number that they said they put on there.
Okay.
And so that's, so I have added that language.
So they're really minimal changes.
Right, it would just be removing the two election officials,
Mhm.
and then it includes that
A
language.
procedure.
Yeah,
See, that's the one thing, this seems to me like it would be so easy to do as a procedure and not as act, what is it, 239?
yeah, and it's law 7-5-617.
Yeah,
Because it is in part of the law, we can't change
Yeah.
it as a procedural
Yeah.
change. It would have to be done this way. The only other thing too that's in here that's not really in the resolution is on that last page. I removed that language where it talks about no later than one business day following election day for the list that has to be, and just place language that says before the provisional ballot review meeting.
okay,
That makes sure that for counties that have 900, 1,000, it just doesn't give them a 1-day deadline. It
Mhm.
just requires you to have it done before
Before
you
the
meet
provisional ballot.
to review the provisional ballot.
Yes, okay. Okey doke. So, we've already, go ahead.
I shared, this information, with Representative Lunsford in order to find out what the news would be
Mhm.
regarding language change. Once she understood it, she texted back to me, said, wow, I understand. I will talk to, and she named one of the legislators, and I can't remember. I can look it up. I'll look it up in a minute. She says it's a little concerned that they wouldn't want to take eyeballs off of the ballots that they put on, so I'm not sure how successful we might be. But I do think we ought to take a stand on this and, go through with this resolution, don't you?
Yeah, I think that, it may not mean much this time around, or it may, it depends on, my thought was get somebody else to also run it.
Well, and I think that was the right thing, but the reason I reached out to Robin is because her name showed up on the original bill as the
Oh,
prime
uh-huh.
sponsor. But she said she wasn't the prime sponsor, at least that's what she said before, but anyway, that's where, and so I told her that, I said, I think it's only reasonable and
Yeah.
fair that you have a chance to look at this.
Right,
And, so I don't have an answer back from her yet as to
okay,
whether she would want to do this, but if we can get somebody else to run it, that would be good, but,
yeah,
uh,
I think we need several people on this. There's a lot going on right now.
yeah.
And Robin, I know, is doing some things with the governor and,
If we, run it this time and we fail, so
come
be
back
it. I
later.
think
Yeah.
I think we'll have 2 more years to figure out what we need to do to make it work
Mhm.
next time.
Mhm.
I would say, Representative Hammer, if you could get his ear
Oh,
and explain to Representative Hammer this bill, that would go a long way too in
Yeah.
support of the bill. I know that he is often one who champions election bills.
right,
And so, and of
That's good
course,
to know.
he's also, put it out there that he's gonna run for Secretary of State.
oh, yeah.
So I know that elections are near and dear to,
Mhm.
a lot of the legislation that he proposes. I don't know Representative
I
Hammer
don't
myself,
either.
but, that would be one
But
that,
we can reach out to him. Would you like to do that?
Yeah, I'll be glad to take a run at Representative Hammond. That's the way they say it.
Something like that, yeah.
Y'all go ahead, I'm good with it, I think we had already said that we were gonna sign it.
Yeah,
and Max gives his approval as
Oh, okay.
well. He just, like I said, be here today.
Yeah.
So he's not unopposed to it. So I can scan this in
okay,
and then send copies of both documents, because that you would have them, to share
oh,
Okay,
yeah,
Do that,
Okay.
please.
with different individuals.
okay. Super. All right. That the only request there, so we're on to legislative update.
Yeah, I had already sent out the support of that, one bill that
Oh,
we had
okay.
talked about. There wasn't time for us to bring it to the meeting,
Okay,
for the Senate Bill 135, which is the millage.
Carlton Wayne,
No,
okay, I don't know why she said she was gonna share it with Carlton Wayne.
when,
Wayne, W-I-N-G.
David, I'll look him up and see where he's at. Maybe he's a newer representative and wants a bill to change,
see,
'cause sometimes.
that's what I was thinking when I talked to Robin was, we need to get some other people involved, because
Mhm.
she's got a lot on her plate
Yeah.
and she needs some other people to
Are you
help run
looking
it.
up? Okay. Debbie's looking up to see what area.
Oh,
of the
okay,
county
good.
Or the state he represents.
Okay,
Um,
so we've got four things here.
these are just, part of legislation right now seems to be kind of not a lot of true election bills in the sense of what impacts us on a daily basis. A lot of them have been, procedures for collecting signatures,
Oh,
that type of thing. Campaign reports, paid canvassers, not focused so much on the election process. But
Okay,
I did bring these bills, forward today. This 1422, this is the one that is, they're calling it Only Citizens Vote Act, but it's the one that would make a driver's license for a non-US citizen look different.
oh,
Because they,
So
are
we can
legally,
tell the difference.
yes, And one of the other aspects of the bill too is though a list that goes specifically to the Secretary of State's office of non-US citizens that have received license, so they can compare it to the list of registered voters to make sure that there's no one who is registered to vote. One of the new things I've included, this was just done, it's a fiscal impact. On this bill, I thought it actually contained, some interesting information in it that's not in this bill. And it talks about what, because I think people have asked, well, what does that driver's
Yeah.
license look like right now? And so right now, currently, a driver's license for a non-US citizen has the phrase limited term on it. And,
Is it easy to see?
it is not. It is very
That's-
tiny up at the very top where it says limited term.
Yeah.
But I just printed this out for you to have, just because I know that there have been questions asked about
Mm.
this. And this came from, the Department of Finance, and which is part of the DMV, or the DMV is part of this. That gives a little bit, I thought, more clarification
Mhm.
on how this would be implemented, the time frame for the implementation, and the process that they see that could be problematic. So, and not necessarily for the commission to do anything, but just for us.
Be aware of,
Yeah.
yeah.
We have not heard anything from the old bill that we've knocked down twice, have we? About
No, I haven't seen.
Maybe that one's dead.
I have not seen that one at all, so yeah. So, and then there's, the Senate Bill 227, which is on the floor today. This is a FOIA bill. I always include FOIA bills in our election bills, just because we have to, follow all of the procedures for FOIA. I know there's been some discussion on this bill in regards to, on page 2, where you see where it talks about, they're adding additional subdivisions to what is FOIable, or what can and cannot be done outside of a meeting. And it talks about that item number 12, a poll, which would be communications between an employee or person paid by a public entity and one or more members of the governing body of that public entity to determine how the member of the governing body intends to vote, or whether they support something. So that's new language, and I think there's a concern. For instance, I am always really careful when I email out things that I'm not emailing to the group, and I'm not, passing information back from one commissioner to another commissioner. So I think this is kind of talking about this. But I think the concern is it going to be too limiting? Because in regards to knowing how someone might feel about
Okay,
it. So I don't know.
so the question is, where are the other applications, not election wise, where would those be?
It would be, so for instance, with your JPs.
okay.
With city council members.
Okay.
So it has a lot of other applications.
Yeah.
I just, want to make sure, of course, we follow
Mhm.
FOIA procedures and all of this, so it would definitely, be, for JPs, for any type of board that meets and takes minutes, that votes on things, city council members, a library board.
So, it sounds like it's more interested, at least from the language here, in governing those people. And we're kind of in that, but we don't really, I mean, all of our stuff is communicated openly.
Mhm.
And I mean, I guess I'm not, I see that it could apply, but I also find it to be maybe not terribly constraining,
Right, and I just,
but it's worth knowing.
that's what I thought too. It's worth knowing, especially because they're adding, the language for employees
Mhm.
in there rather than
Mhm.
just the board members or the commissioners
Okay.
or, justice of the peace or
Does-
whatever.
The way you read that, then, that would, be a constraint on all of the staff. I mean, not that anybody's gonna poll y'all.
Right, no, I don't think staff amongst ourselves, it would be staff sending information to committee members.
Oh,
And
okay.
you would have to be really clear that you are sending this as the information being presented, not necessarily polling how the individual is going to vote on it.
Okay.
So, your communications would need to be very, specific in that regard to
Okay.
make sure that you're not asking back opinions on it. You're just presenting it as this is the information that's going to be discussed. But like I said, we're a small little group in the midst of all
Yeah,
of these other
right.
entities that they're talking about, but we do have to follow FOIA
Yeah.
rules.
Okay.
So what is this fix, do you know?
I don't know.
Yeah, that was my question.
I don't know, so Tucker, this is kind of a different group of individuals. So Tucker is,
Pinso's on.
Penzo's on it. Tucker is a Democrat out of Little Rock. But
Justin
then of
Boyd
course
is
you've got Boyd and Summerfield too, so it's kind of got a mix,
So there's
Group.
some infraction that has made them think this change is a good change.
that's what I would think, these bills don't seem to just happen,
Yeah.
in a vacuum, that something happened.
And if it is, as you say, somewhat bipartisan, then there's got to be something that called for it.
Yeah,
So the looks like there's more than just this part that's been added. This is the part that stood out to us, right?
yes, yeah.
But this looks like there's other, at least changes that are made, if not, I mean, that's added information.
Well, if you just look at section 1, it looks like they want to make sure they cover all the boards, bureaus, commissions, etc. They want to make sure that people understand that this is everybody, except for, what does it say, grand juries?
Except grand juries.
Yeah.
Everything supported wholly or in part by public funds
Yeah,
or expending public funds. Let's just take a political party, one of a county political party. Is that,
no,
they're not expending any
I
public
would-
funds?
No, the other thing that's also adds to is it specifies on page 3, you'll see, it specifies time frame for notice of meetings. Such as 3 days before that would have to be, notice would have to be sent out. And then it also specifies, agendas, would also have to be, published on a website or social media page 3 days before. And at least 2 hours before an emergency or special public meeting. So those would be additional requirements too for public meetings as well.
okay. Looks like they're clamping down.
It could be they're clamping down, it could be that they're just clarifying,
Yeah.
trying to make it more understandable.
And I think they're trying to make sure that public meetings are truly public, that the public has enough notice,
Right,
that the public's aware of them. And so I think that's in part what this is doing too. Now, for us, I publish this on our website.
Right.
We, I put the agenda on there. We do have a social media post and things like that. We'll just have to pay really close attention to the 3-day
right.
rule and that kind of thing if this were to pass. But I just wanted you guys to see this just because it may, if it does pass, it will impact, how meetings are called.
Also, public meeting shall be recorded in the format in which it's conducted, including without limitation, sound only, the video recording with sound and pictures, and a digital or analog broadcast schedule being recorded. They used to have or there, now they're putting the and. That seems like
You're right.
they're saying that it's got to be
All,
all that has to be included. Right. Okay. Government, by its nature, wants to grow,
mhm.
doesn't it?
It
Madam
certainly
Chair?
does. It certainly does. Well, we'll see how that, you said that was on the
It's on-
agenda for today.
Yes, it will be.
So we'll see what the nature of that is later today. What else?
The SB 135, which is the
Oh.
village, is going to be heard on the Senate floor today. Now, this bill continues to go through changes. So from the last time we spoke to now, it has been changed to, even in odd years. Previously, this bill would apply to both years.
Okay,
But now, the way it has been amended, it will only apply to odd years and not even years. So in even years, the millage will appear on the ballot. In odd years, then the school board can choose to just do an election by resolution, basically.
Why is that? Why did they do that?
We don't
to
know.
make it more confusing.
It is because, okay, in an odd year, if this passes, in an odd year, you could do a ballot with the unopposed candidate and the village only. Listed on the ballot, but in an even year, the unopposed candidate does not appear on the ballot, but is considered elected,
Right,
but the millage will go on the ballot. So it does make it a little bit more complicated. It is still going in the right direction of trying to get the millage off
Yeah.
the ballot.
without doing a constitutional
Right.
amendment.
And that's why maybe I still am a supporter of this bill because it does, like, is it moving in the right direction?
Yeah.
But that constitutional amendment, if that could be passed, then all of this
Would
could go
be,
away.
yeah, yeah. But that, I mean, what you're saying is, this is not primary enough that it would actually get on as one of the 3 constitutional amendments that the legislature would put before the people. So
I don't know.
it's probably never gonna get done there.
No.
So
probably.
it has to be,
It's not gonna rise to the level.
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know, do we have some sense of what the constitutional amendments that they really like right now are?
I don't, they haven't started hearing them yet.
Okay,
So we'll know, we'll kind of get a feel for that when they do start holding the hearings on them, which ones actually are making the agenda
okay,
and are actually being heard and which ones just kind of fall to the deferred list.
yeah,
And so they won't start hearing those yet.
and the
So,
deferred list is probably way long.
yeah, yeah. So
So this will be way down at the
it
bottom.
definitely could be, but this will be voted on, today. and then we'll move out of the Senate, and then we'll move, over to the House side.
Okay,
And if we do see, I don't know that there's, I know it's been amended a couple of times, but this Crawford, who is the second sponsor on this bill on the representative side, is from the Fort Smith area. So we do have a local connection,
okay,
if we needed to reach out. But at this point, I kind of feel like it's a done deal.
yeah, okay. All right, well, you can let us know what happens today. If it actually makes the cut for the Senate.
I think it will, I mean, it'll be voted on today.
Okay.
And, it didn't really have any opposition when it went through committee,
Okay.
other than just some clarifying, different things.
Okay,
So, yeah.
okay, that's all on the legislative update, unless you've got something else.
Well, I just got a request from, the Arkansas Association for us to look at a bill.
Oh,
I can't. Let's see which one it is. Oh, SB 82. So this is the Penzo bill. Okay. So SB 282 is the fluoride bill. It was one that early on got filed. And let me look and see if it's been amended. So it would call for an election to be held in order to remove the fluoride from. Yeah,
From
that's what I was
I
looking.
mean, would it be?
From the water board would have to vote. They would put it up for an election.
A local election?
Yeah. And so, it also, this is, I think, some of the concerns with the bill. This one would require, when you collect signatures to hold an election,
Mhm.
normally it's held through the circuit clerk. That's why whenever we have those offices up for election, mayor, governor, and circuit clerk are the ones that, even if they're unopposed,
Yeah.
they go on the ballot, because that's where you pull the signatures
Right.
from. This one would have it be for the county judge. And so I think that was concerned, like, why would we do this petition?
Yeah,
Petition signatures from a office that's different than what we use all of the other ones
what's the
for.
thinking on that?
I don't know, why it would be, unless that's just kind of an oversight on their part. It would also, you could do a petition, and it would also, or allow the quorum court of a county to call for an election. So, I'll take a closer look at this and then send it out with notes. It kind of got filed early on, and then has just sat there.
Oh,
And has been on the deferred, thing for quite a while, but it must be making some movement. So I'll take a closer look at it and then send out notes
okay,
to the group about it. And if we do have any concerns, of course, Penzo is in our
Right here.
area.
yeah,
We could definitely reach out to Penzo if there's a concern. I think one of the concerns is definitely using county judge as the marker instead of circuit clerk. And that could just be an oversight on their part, not realizing that circuit clerk is what's used for every other
Yeah.
petition gathering group. So,
okay. Well, we'll defer any more discussion on that until we get a look at it.
Yeah.
and have maybe some clarity from Clint on it.
yeah, and see what he says.
Okay. Okay, new building update.
They are complete. All the construction is done. So we can start kind of making it our own. there's still a lot of cleanup that needs to be done, mopping and cleaning and
Oh,
the drywall
yeah,
line is
Everywhere.
everywhere. Like our, Debbie cleaned our offices like 3 times yesterday.
Oh,
And
no.
still our keyboards
Oh,
still feel,
do not
that.
use a vacuum cleaner. I did that one time and broke the vacuum cleaner. It
oh,
was
because
just-
of the
It
still.
was just
So
so,
fine, plugged
yeah,
up everything.
yeah, sure.
So, and they are working on a new sign for us. Right now it still says sign shop. They are putting in the ADA, ramp for us as well. So I do think that we'll be able to hold our March 6th ballot draw there and,
Okay.
in our building, and we can, after this meeting, we can take a
Go
peek at it.
and
If
look,
you guys
okay.
wanna
Sure,
take a look at it.
yeah. Okay, and no change in the meetings that we have on the schedule there.
No,
We're, in the middle of filing.
we had one candidate file yesterday. And Prairie Grove has passed a resolution to request a change in their millage. So Springdale is the only other school district I don't have millage information from,
Okay,
but I don't think they're doing a change in their millage. I think we would have heard from them.
by now,
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
okay,
Greenland, Farmington, and Prairie Grove will all see changes in their millage, which means we will have polling locations open
oh, yeah,
in all 3
Right.
of those locations.
okay. Okay, so our next meeting will be in the new building. Do we have other business?
Next meeting is.
March the
6th.
6th. Any other business?
Not me.
Okay. Max, any other business? We are adjourned.
Playing.